Hello, crew. I'm Belinda Risley, and welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast, the show designed for motorsport athletes, parents, and support teams who want to accelerate their careers both on and off the track. Whether you're struggling to secure a sponsorship, grow your social media, or understand the business side of racing, because yes, motorsport is a business, this podcast is here to help. Each episode, I'll share practical tips, advice, and insights, often joined by industry experts, motorsport athletes who share their real-world experiences. So if you're ready to take your motorsport career to the next level, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello, crew, and welcome to another episode of the Motorsport Coaching Podcast. I am your host, Belinda Risley, and I'm very excited today to be sitting down with the inspiring Zoe Woods, a trailblazer in the world of motorsport. Zoe shares her unique journey from a horse racing family to becoming a prominent figure in a male-dominant industry. We explore her rise from go-karting starting at the age of 15 to racing in the Monochrome GT4 Australia Championship, and how she navigates the challenges of being a female driver. Zoe also opens up about her entrepreneurial venture, Lulu Lashes and Beauty, and how she balances her thriving business with her racing career. Team, this episode is filled with inspiration, advice, and a glimpse into the life of a dynamic motorsport athlete, Zoe Woods. I hope you enjoy today's show. Hello, Zoe, and welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Can you share a little bit about how you got started into motorsport?
Yeah, definitely. So I didn't really have the typical introduction to motorsport. My family weren't really into it. We were more a horse racing family, so a different kind of horsepower. And It kind of evolved from it's quite funny. I went on a ski trip with my mum to the snow, and my dad stayed home, and he went out to Eastern Creek, originally being from Sydney. And he found a team, GWR, that are based in Sydney, and it kind of evolved from there. He's seen the Porsches, and he was like, oh, yeah, this is really cool. I want to get into this. He's like, I've worked hard. So that's kind of how it evolved. And then I was always playing netball on a Saturday, and he was racing one Saturday, and I went out there and he was racing, and I was like, oh, there's no girls doing this. And he's like, oh no, it's very male dominated. And I was like, I could do this. I definitely could do this. And he's like, well, there's steps to it. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to get a job. I'm going to go-karting. Like, this is how we're going to do it. And he's like, okay, first, let's get into hire kart. So I literally hopped in hire kart for the first time ever. Was my birthday, and I did that, and I was hooked immediately. I was like, yeah, perfect. This is what I want to do. I was fortunate enough to receive a go-kart for Christmas one year. So it kind of just evolved from there. I didn't really think I'd be racing cars, but I knew I wanted to do something within motorsport, and I was hooked. Like, I do remember always watching the Bathurst 1000, but that was really the only race we would ever watch. So it was just crazy how we got involved, and now definitely well involved in the motorsport industry.
Well, that's a great story. Like, literally you got in it from your dad, but not the typical way, like you said, about, being like a legacy, and it's kind of like just, hey, I want to do this as well. And how long ago was that when you started your journey?
I'd say it would be, I think I was like 15, so it'd be like 9 years ago. I was a lot older, so it was quite funny going to the go-kart track and being a 15-year-old girl where there was no girls. I was the only girl in my races, and I was always a little bit heavier, so I'd have to race against older men because I was in the senior class, and it was quite funny racing like a 15-year-old girl racing against 30-year-old guys was very interesting.
Yeah. Because once you're on the track, we're all as one.
Exactly right. All car doesn't know you're a female or male.
Or age or anything like that. The cars don't discriminate, do they?
No, they don't.
So what are you currently racing now? And, where are you racing?
So I am racing the Monochrome GT4 Australia Championship this year. So I was lucky enough to do that last year with Toyota 86s as well. So this year we're just focusing on the GT4 program and doing that Think a little bit of testing maybe in a sprint challenge car, Porsche, so that will be quite cool. And definitely racing with TechWorks Motorsport again, so family operation at TechWorks Motorsport.
That's fantastic. Was last year your first year in the GT4s?
Yeah, so last year was my first year, and it was great. Such a great stepping stone, and it was really, I think, a challenge last year because, I was going from a Toyota 86 to a GT4 and having to learn to go between the two cars. But I think it made me such a better driver when I did that, and I'm very grateful that I did do that because, it made me so much more aware of where I was, what I was doing, and how as a driver I needed to switch and how you need to adapt to another car quickly.
Yeah, and a lot of the drivers are aspiring to race in the GT program. What's the great thing about GT at the moment?
I think it also has that it's new, so everyone wants to try it. It's like anything anything that you can't have, you want as well. So I think that's definitely where it's at with GT4, but also the different car manufacturers and how it's operated, like SRO do such a great job. Any kids that are wanting to get into that, I guess, European motorsport and all of that, or want to go overseas, I think it's a great way and a stepping stone for that too. And especially with SRO doing it all and bringing everything over from Europe and having people coming over to help too makes a massive difference. And the true drivers, like, I think there's room for everyone. There's room to learn. You can have a really experienced driver and you can have someone who's still learning, and it's great because you get both your data. You can compare, you're racing the same people. I think it's a great category, and I think they've done a great job bringing it here.
And tell us a bit about your experience with the T86s, because I know there's a lot of up-and-comers that are looking to do that series as well.
Yeah, so I started that. I just started going out to Norwell Motorplex. I didn't really think much of it. We had a Toyota 86, and we were lucky enough to go out there quite a bit during COVID. We didn't have as many restrictions as other people, so I spent a lot of my time out there every Friday with Luke Yilden. He was driver coaching me at the time, and we just progressed from there. So I did the scholarship series in 2023 with the main series as well. So that was quite good, and I think it was a great stepping stone. And I think it's a great stepping stone, anyone coming out of karts to go to Toyota 86s. It teaches you a lot. It teaches you about awareness of other cars around you. It just teaches you how to be a better driver. Everyone there is kind of in the same position. They're all learning. Everyone wants to do well. So when you have that progression and you have the two guest drivers that do come along and you can grab their data and you have people around you, I think it's a great category for people to get into to start off. And especially now they have the scholarship, so you don't have to do the main series, that you can just do the scholarship as well. That just makes great awareness of racing, and I guess a little bit more cost effective for some people.
Yeah, definitely. As I said, there's a lot of people stepping up this year out of karting, and so we're going to 86s, and we're going to GT4s. The unfortunate thing or fortunate thing, depending which way, obviously there's no direct pathway to the top because everyone's top's different, and so having all of these different types of categories is fantastic for the sport. And basically it comes down to budget and doesn't it, for each the different budgets.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you just got to look where the best option is for you and what your pathway is. And there's lots of pathways you can go with motorsport. If you want to be a supercar driver, sure, go that way. If you want to race overseas or you just want to be an endurance driver, there's so many different options. And I think that's the great thing with Australian motorsport. We do have quite a lot of options over here at the moment, which helps.
Yeah, and so what has been your most memorable race or proudest achievement so far in really a short racing career?
Yeah, so last year I raced in Sydney at Sydney Motorsport Park. So I come third outright and we won the Pro-Am in GT4. So that was like a really big achievement. I was the first ever girl to get a GT4 Australia podium and then the first ever girl to win GT4 Pro-Am. So that was really special, and it was special to do it at a place where I grew up. I grew up 10 minutes from Eastern Creek, so I think, yeah, it was so special to do that there, and that's where I watched my dad race from when he started racing. So it was just, that would be the most memorable, and it has like a really special place in my heart.
Oh, and for so many good reasons too. That's so good. Very exciting. And now you mentioned a few times, being a female driver. Do you feel there are unique challenges or, or expectations inside the industry, and how have you had to overcome them, or what do you feel like the blokes are like in the paddock towards you?
It's quite a funny question, because if you asked me when I was karting, I would say it wasn't a great experience. I remember my dad having to stand his ground. I was this 15-year-old girl against 30-year-old guys standing in the gridding area or the pit area, and they would want to go me because I've like won or come third or beat them. But really, in the car racing scene, I find everyone is so supportive. Everyone there wants to help you, and I'm very lucky to have a team and mechanics and that are all male, that are always there 100% of the time, and really always are happy to see me achieve my goals. I'm really lucky. There obviously is that certain pressure that you do put on yourself, I think, and some onlookers will put that on you, that you are a female, you need to prove yourself. That's definitely one that goes through my mind a lot. I'm like, I need to prove myself. But at the end of the day, you don't really need to prove yourself. You feel like you need to prove yourself for yourself. Don't do it for others and to get other people's approval. Like, it's just something that I think as females too, we do feel like in this world, yeah, we do have to put a little bit of pressure on ourselves. But I think overall my experience has been great. I've had great people supporting me. Everyone that has supported me have always been there no matter what. I have great parents. My dad didn't have boys, so he's got two girls, and I ended up being the girl that drives. So I think that's great. I think sometimes as a dad you have to like change and alter what you're thinking. He's like sometimes makes some comments and I'm like, Dad, you can't say that. And he's like, yes, okay, yup.
Thing, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But overall, everyone's been so welcoming. I've never really, in my motorsport history, and especially in cars, haven't had any issues with anybody.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's great to hear. No, so we know that motorsport is expensive. How have you approached sponsorship and brand partnerships over your last couple of professional years?
Yeah, it's tough, especially right now. It's quite tough, I will say that. Been fortunate enough to have such great parents that support me, and I've had great people around me and family, friends that we know that do have their own businesses, so they have been able to support me. But this year I really took the step and was like, I need to find my own sponsorship. I want my parents putting in as little much to no money at all. So it's been tough. Like, I'm really hustling at the moment, even to just get $5,000. And I know my parents are in the back there supporting me, but I think it's, as a female, you think all these brands are going to want to take you on, and female activewear and gyms and other, I guess as a female, you have different companies that could be interested.
Yes.
And that's not sort of the pathway that they're looking at. They don't think, oh, yeah, motorsport, am I going to get any coverage from that? But I don't think they realise how many females are now in the sport and how many females actually watch the sport that would. And to me, you've got to sell yourself as a personal brand. So I'm trying to uplift my personal brand, trying to promote myself as a brand, because that's what's going to get people through the door. So if that means I get gifted products or I get gifted activewear, I'm creating a brand for myself. And if that means I need to, I don't know, I did a New Zealand vlog to show what a day and a week is like with me overseas racing or doing other stuff. I think that kind of shows them that you are willing to promote their brand, and oh wow, actually if I follow her and watch what she does, and that a lot of females are actually involved in the sport these days.
Yeah, that's true. And obviously being on a podcast is a great way to get yourself exposure and to build your brand as well. So well done to that. But exactly what you're saying around about the personal branding, it's really important, as you just mentioned, about knowing who you are and the kind of brands that you want to work with. You do have your own small business. We're going to touch on that a little bit later in the show and talk about how that's been beneficial, maybe possibly with that sponsorship side of things. But I did forget to bring up New Zealand, but you just mentioned that. You also have done some racing in New Zealand. What's your relationship with NZ? Are you from there, or is your family there, or?
So no,
okay.
We're Australian. We have a lot of Kiwis that work for TechWorks Motorsport, and probably more Kiwis than Aussies. So we could say we're a little bit from there. But I think it's just something that we were watching the NZ Championship that was happening at the end of last year, and we watched the GT NZ Championship, and my parents were like, would that be an opportunity that you would like to look at? It might mean we don't do as much testing at the start of your racing, but you'll have 2 weekends of racing before the Australian Championship. So yeah, that's kind of how it all come apart. One of my sponsors is from New Zealand, so we were watching him, of course. So that's where it was all like started coming up from. My partner is Kiwi as well, so I mean I'm surrounded by them.
That's right.
I guess not really.
And have you got any plans to do any more racing there this year, or it's just maybe just towards the end of the year?
Yeah, probably towards the end of the year. We are heading, our last round for the Australian GT4 Championship is at Hampton Downs. So that was kind of a little bit why we went there too, because my first round in NZ was Hampton Downs. So we kind of wanted to get a little bit of a head start before anyone else, and we did that. And that was great, and I'm so glad that I had that experience to go over there and do that. But, yeah, I think we're looking probably maybe we'll do the championship over there. We had such a great time, and it was such a different way of racing. Everyone was so welcoming. I said, like, they're not used to, I guess, a lot of the Kiwis come over here, so us going over to New Zealand's a big thing, and it was great. The just atmosphere, the people, and no matter who you're racing against, everyone kind of come together, and it was quite nice. Like even at the end of a weekend, they'd be like, "Oh, anyone want an ice block?" And like everyone would all come together and just talk, and it was a different atmosphere, definitely, to Australia.
A little bit more friendly.
Yeah, definitely. There wasn't so much of I'm not going near you.
Because you're the opposition.
Yes.
Now I'm going to just go back a step. Now we've talked about New Zealand. We'll talk about personal branding. So tell us about your social media platforms. What platforms are you on, and how do you utilize them to build your personal brand and to help seek sponsorship?
So currently I have Instagram. I have my Zoe Woods Racing Facebook page, and then I have TikTok and YouTube. So YouTube's kind of new to me this year. I thought, okay, what's another way I can get my personal brand out there? What's another way that I can promote myself? And that was YouTube. Everyone watches TikToks, but they're like little short snippets day in your lives. As a lot of people want to know what your week's like, or what you pack in your race bag, or what's your routine in the morning. A lot of people want to know that sort of stuff, and TikTok's great for that, and it's great to build a brand. I found it a little bit harder than what I thought. Like I watched so many people on TikTok, and I'm like, yep, I can do that. And then I forget to film like my whole day, and I'm like, oh, okay, restart. Or it's quite funny. You watch people's TikToks and you're like, okay, you've had like a really busy day. And I'm like, I don't know if my day's that interesting or busy. Like it's a bit hard to know if people are going to enjoy your content. But I found like a lot of people are enjoying little snippets I'm doing. I post like little even photos on TikTok and that. But a real platform I use is Instagram, and that's just any racing I pop on Instagram, anything I'm kind of doing during the week, I'll pop on a story. People that want to follow you will follow you, but I'm finding with the following on platforms at the moment, it's more about your engagement. Like people aren't actually clicking to follow you. Your engagement, where your like monthly view, you can see how many people are viewing your page or how many engagement the engagement you have is quite high. So I'm finding that you need to kind of turn that engagement into followers and find what people are liking. And it's just finding that balance. Like I've got like quite a few girls that follow me and they're like, oh, is your Queenstown vlog up yet? And I get like little messages, and that's just your personal brand. People are finding ways, and companies will reach out and find you and like what you do, and that's when you can then approach them later on. Once you've worked with them for a while, you might approach them and be like, if you just got to find ways to figure out how you're going to do it. And that's what I've been doing. I'm like kind of on my social media grind at the moment and trying to get that all up to speed and be on to posting. If I'm racing that week, I'm like, okay, let's post every day, or let's on the weekend make sure I do a wrap up on a Friday, a Saturday and a Sunday. Don't wait till a week later because no one wants to read it.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Obviously, you're a motorsport athlete or parent or someone in a team looking to take your career to the next level. But have you checked out the Driver's Toolkit? It's the ultimate resource to help you get started with sponsorship, build your brand, and grow your social media. Plus, it covers motorsport-specific fitness, nutrition, and mindset strategies to keep you performing at your best. So if you're serious about making an impact on and off the track, this is for you. Head over to motivatetraining.com.au/toolkit to learn more and gain instant access. Now let's get back to the episode. Everyone's forgotten about the next week's racing already after that.
Exactly. Everyone's like, oh, too hard, not reading that.
So how many hours a week would you say that you're putting into seeking sponsorship at the moment and social media content creation?
It all varies. Depends, like a lot of free time at night time. I'm like thinking of things to do, and I would say I put quite a few hours in it. Probably it wouldn't be massive, but editing a YouTube video is quite time consuming, and I didn't realize how time consuming that can be. So trying to work and do that is like hard, but I'm making it work at the moment. And then just little things I do, I just make sure that I'm posting it on Instagram, and it doesn't need to be aesthetic because is what it is. That's me.
Beautiful. Well, talk about being beautiful. You do have your own small business called Lulu Lashes and Beauty. Is that plan B? Was that always the backup plan? Or how did that come about? You starting up your own small business?
Yeah, I guess in my mind I needed to find something where I wasn't unreliable to someone else's business, and where I had the freedom if I needed to go away or I needed to test, or I got something or a brand deal or anything that I needed to be somewhere, I could be there. And it really wasn't what I was doing at the time. I was doing childcare and complete different pathway, but I couldn't help myself in feeling like I wasn't giving the children enough. So I was like, okay, I need to just step back and reevaluate. And I've always been into beauty and loved beauty, and I wanted to do makeup, but it wasn't, that was weekend work. And I'm like, well, that doesn't work with what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm just trying to do too much on the weekend, and that's just not going to work. So I went to lashes, and then I just added on from there. So I added on brows and training, and I took in from my childcare of teaching, and then now I teach other women to do lashes. And yeah, that kind of is where it come from, where I could just switch off. I could walk out the door, didn't have to worry about it anymore. I didn't need to stress what was happening at work, or didn't feel like I I was in control of my career and what I was doing. So that's kind of where it all come from was, I needed to have that little bit of freedom.
Yeah, that's a fantastic thought process. Well done. Still doing that during the week. And have you learnt, or have there been any unexpected lessons from business that has helped you in motorsports or vice versa?
Yeah, I think there has been. Being 18 and naive and running a business and starting it during COVID isn't like the smartest choice anyone could have, but I did that and that was wild of me. And then learning to drive a race car and that during COVID as well. Like I just started two big things and I was like, okay, I've got to make both of these work and I need to figure out, I think with my beauty business, I wasn't a confident person. I wasn't a confident speaker, but I had to learn. I had to bring clients in. I needed people to trust me. I needed to know what I was talking about. And I think that's made such a big difference with my racing is if a camera or I get interviewed, it's not a big deal. I'm like, okay, it's just like I'm teaching another young lady to do lashes. That's all I'm doing. So I just try take those away, and I had to learn to sell my business. So with racing, learn to sell myself. With sponsors, you need to learn to be able to talk to people. If you can't look someone in the eyes and tell them what you're doing or what you want to achieve, they don't want really anything to do with you, because that probably is something that they respect of you taking the time for them. So I've definitely taken both sides and had to use both sides, and I think you learn to deal with people if there's conflict, or I think unfortunately in business some stuff does happen and you can't help it, and stuff does happen on the racetrack, so you've got to be the bigger person and stand up and say sorry, or you sometimes just have to accept what it is.
That's fantastic. You're so like old for your young age, old in wisdom. You're very good.
I had to grow up very quickly.
You did. And with your social media, do you do more beauty stuff, or like are you doing beauty tips and stuff like that on your socials, or is it more racing related, or you've got a bit of both?
So I have a little bit of both. I think this year I'll take a little bit of the beauty stuff onto my personal. I was fortunate enough to be voted number one on the Gold Coast last year for my beauty work. So that was great. It was really unexpected, and so I think I need to that's something I'm looking at doing, is taking that beauty side and bringing that to my page as well. I think I kind of keep them separate at the moment, but they probably could come together. And a lot of my clients do know I race and they love it and they think it's great. They're like, yeah, this is great. I love this. And then sometimes I just keep it to myself and I separate the two, but definitely personal page, like with my racing, is a lot of racing based and just like little things I do if I go to a concert, all the rest of it. But I definitely could incorporate a little bit more of the beauty side to my racing personal page to create more of a brand.
Yeah, well, you're literally winning on and off the track. So you should showcase that. Well done. And what advice would you give to other young entrepreneurs looking to build their own brand whilst chasing their big motorsport goals?
Yeah, this is something that I wish I had some advice from another female at the time, and there wasn't anyone around. And I think you need to be willing to have a go. Being scared is okay, and that's fine. We all get scared. But I think, you definitely have to be willing to put yourself out there. It's going to be risky. It might not pay off, but at the end of the day, you gain so much experience from it. And that's like my biggest thing is don't be afraid to just go introduce yourself. I've had heaps of girls on Instagram message me and be like, oh, could you answer some questions for me? I want to write up an article. Last year I had a 16-year-old girl and she's like, this is my first time ever doing it. And I'm like, good on you. Like, I'm happy to do that stuff because I remember being that age and not having any guidance and knowing what to do with my career. And I think you've just got to, definitely introduce yourself. Always introduce yourself with your name, because people aren't just going to know you. And if you see that person, don't be afraid to say hello. You see them out at the track, say hello. Or if you're starting a business, don't, like, Instagram and social media is such a big thing right now that you actually need to use it to your advantage and create yourself a little business. And if you want to do photography or you want to do something within the industry, don't be afraid to just go offer your services for free. Everyone will take something for free. And if you're good, you have a portfolio and you can take that somewhere with you and go, well, this is what I've done and I've offered my services for free. And that creates such a big portfolio for yourself and shows that you're willing to put everything on the line to make it work.
Beautiful. I like it. I like it. Now, being so busy with work, obviously, and racing, do you have time to actually do physical training and mindset training, or what do you do for that, if anything?
Yeah, I have time. I make time. I'm an early bird, and living on the Gold Coast, I think everyone's up at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. So I make time for that. That was my focus last year and the year before, was my weight. I needed to lose some weight. And that was my own personal preference and to perform better in the race car. So I worked my bum off and nearly lost about 35 kilos now. So it's been a massive achievement, and that's just consistency. I always watched what I ate. I know so many times I missed out on so many things because I was focusing on my career, and I missed out on so many people's birthdays and that because at the time what I was eating, and I didn't want to be drinking, and my mindset was on my fitness. So my usual training is up at 6, try to be at the gym by 6:30. If I don't go to the gym, I go for a run. And then, I just do little activities. Like I did my first triathlon last Sunday. That was a bit of an eye-opener, and my friend sprung that on me and she's like, let's go do that. And I'm like, yep, let's go. But I was in New Zealand for a little bit of our training, so she was like a little bit ahead of me, and I'm like, okay, this is like real big eye opener. Definitely not a swimmer, I can confirm that, but I can run and ride a bike, and that's fine.
Beautiful.
But I'm very much on my physical health and even your mental health. I surround myself with people who only support me and support what I do. And I have a great family that are like that. My friends are wonderful. And if I'm like, I'm not going out this weekend or I don't want to go for dinner, they're like, okay, cool. We'll just do something in this weekend. Like, let's have a movie night. I have such supportive parents and everyone and friends, and my partner is so great. Couldn't ask for a better one because he's very understanding and just lets me do my thing and probably deals with 20 moods a day, but that's okay.
Your mind must be like this.
It is. It's constantly going. I don't think I ever stop. But even I have a sim at home. So if I've got any downtime, I'll be like, okay, lunch break, I've got an hour. Let's get on the sim. I'll just hop on there. I'll pick any track. Sometimes I'll even be like overseas on iRacing and doing that. And then I do make time. So the week before a race weekend, I will go out to focus at QR, and then the week of, I'll go out there again, and I just do 2-hour sessions. I find that helps really a lot. And then in between that, I sometimes work at Norwell on a Saturday. So if I'm in the car, that's great. Otherwise, it's just try and make it all work in my busy lifestyle.
So when you're not at work, you're on the sim, running, trying to do a triathlon, racing, flying back and forth to New Zealand, what do you like to do? What other hobbies and passions do you have?
That's a good question, because well, other hobbies. No, I'm definitely a chill out. Like, I just love to chill out. So like, even if that's like, we're like not very a boaty family or anything, but we've got a boat or jet ski, so I just hop on that and go for a cruise on the weekend or go to the beach, or if I'm not, like, my partner plays rugby, so I'm happy to go sit at a rugby field for the afternoon and kick a football or something like that just to chill out. That's probably me, or being around friends. But yeah, hobby-wise, I probably am living the dream doing a hobby, so I can't say that, yeah, hobbies would be the gym as well, but that's just part of my routine.
I don't think you have time for anything else, my love.
I don't think so either.
So if you could race in any car, any series, anywhere in the world, what would it be and why?
It would be, I think, I have my heart set on Europe, but I really think America would be so cool. Just any car, put me in any car. I don't really have a dream. I feel like I'm driving my dream car right now. Porsche, love the brand. So I'm very lucky. Feel like I'm driving my dream car, but like Miami F1, that would be so cool. Just to do something out of the ordinary, you know, just not the typical place everyone would say is. I'm a bit like that. I like being unique. I like being different.
Fantastic. Well, it's working for you. Don't change. And what's one fun fact about you that most people don't know? I think you've just told us, like, that you're just crazy busy.
Yeah, I think people think I'm a really chilled person, and I have like such a chill persona at the track, and I'm like, yeah, life's good. But my mind is like boom, 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 boom. It's like, you've got to do this, you've got to be here, you've got to do that. But like, I just like blank face, act like nothing's wrong. Very good at my poker face and just going along with life. But yeah, probably is, I'm actually full crazy.
Maybe we should have had a partner come in the last bit and ask him this question.
Yeah, no, we'll keep that out because he'll definitely confirm that.
And so where can our listeners follow your journey and stay updated on your racing and as well as your winning business?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, so it's just Zoe Woods on Instagram. My Instagram for my business is Lulu Lashes and Beauty. If you want to follow me on Facebook, it's Zoe Woods Racing, and then my TikTok is Zoe Woods 210, and my YouTube is Zoe Woods 210, so just my race number at the end. But yeah, that's basically where everyone can follow my little journey and come along for the ride.
I just had a thought. That's why I got all excited then. Well, you should do lashes at the track.
No, just add to the craziness.
Do it like when you're racing, but you know, have an activation at the track. How popular would your activation be? You know?
Yeah, definitely. Like, even my clients are so funny. Like, I was on one of the cars at the Gold Coast round, I think a couple of years ago, and they're like, oh my gosh, I seen your logo on the car. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, see, you see my logo. And even if we're going out to QR, sometimes my clients will be on the highway and they're like, this is very illegal. Do not do this. Take photos while driving. Make sure you pull over. But they'll be like, oh my gosh, look, it's your car. And I'm like, you should not be doing that. That's very illegal. But thanks. It looks great.
So you've given us lots of insight, not only into your racing life, also into your work and personal life as well, a little bit there. And obviously giving a lot of advice to up-and-coming motorsport athletes. But if you could give one piece of advice to young girls looking to break into motorsports, what would it be?
Ooh, one piece of advice would be, don't be afraid to do it. Just do it. Put yourself out there. What have you got to lose? Only someone's going to say no, and you just get back up and keep trying. Yeah.
Have a plan B and just keep going.
Exactly. Just have multiple qualifications, and if it doesn't work, just pick one of them.
That's fantastic. And what's next for you? So you've got the GT for this year we've established, GT4 with Porsche, with Tech Work Racing, maybe some New Zealand at the end of the year, and some test drives in Porsche Sprint. Is that right? Yes.
Yeah. So that's probably the plan for this year, and see what happens. Go from there.
Well, we wish you all the very best. Zoe, thank you so much for coming onto the show and sharing your story. Don't forget to race over and follow Zoe on any of those platforms that she just mentioned. And of course, all those links will be in today's show notes. Zoe Woods, thank you very much for being today's guest.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, team, and that's a wrap for another episode of the Motorsport Coaching Podcast. I hope you found it valuable and picked up some insights to help you on your motorsport journey. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love for you to subscribe on your preferred listening platform, leave a review, and share it with fellow motorsport athletes. Don't forget to follow Motivate Training on social media for even more tips and resources. However, if you'd like to take things further and work with Motivate, race over to motivatetraining.com.au and learn more about our Drivers Toolkit, the Motor Sponsorship Club, Accelerate Coaching, and of course our Do It For You management program. All of these programs are designed to help you build your brand, secure sponsorship, and grow your career. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.